Greetings and thank you for tuning into Mr. Story Channel, where you can experience the most fascinating moments on Reddit. It's time for our first story. My 41 male, wife 41 female, kissed another man on a night out. I wasn't bothered, and now she's causing issues over it. Sorry if the title doesn't make much sense. I didn't know how to word it. Also on throwaway, as I don't want this on my main account. Bit of context. We've been together since we were 18. We never had a great intimate life after our first year together. Maybe once or twice a year at most since then. But at the moment it's going on for 3 years, and although it bothers me, I love her and I love our kids, so I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. I know plenty of friends in the same situation. Another bit of context is that I've always been mildly overweight but always fit, as I played a lot of sports until about 10 years ago, when I got really ill and a mixture of meds and comfort eating made me balloon up to nearly 300 pounds. Well, 2 years ago, I decided to do something about it. I'm now around 200 pounds and 6 feet 2 inches, which is the lightest I've been as an adult, and I've actually enjoyed lifting weights and, for the first time in my life, I have a bit of abs and some muscle. My wife, who has always been far hotter, is pretty obviously insecure about the fact that for the first time we've been together, women are starting to look at me and message me on my pages on social media. For the record, I've never even looked at another woman in that way. On to the night in question. My wife went out with some friends, a mix of single and in a relationship. She looked stunning, and I told her so. I even updated my phone home screen to that picture of her. One of the friends she was out with messaged me about 3 months ago, and the gist was that she knows I get no intimacy. My wife doesn't realize how lucky she is, and basically, if I want to hook up with her. I instantly take a screenshot and send it to my wife. Around 4 a.m., my wife gets home, and she wakes me up as she gets into bed. I'm half awake but can tell something is wrong and ask what the matter is. She doesn't say anything for a few seconds, and as I go to grab her hand, she pulls away. I ask if she wants me to get her a drink, and she says no. Then she just blurts it out and says, "I met a guy tonight who kissed me." I didn't kiss back at first, but then I did. Then, for the next half hour, we were dancing and constantly kissing. She kept saying sorry and begging me not to leave her. My honest first reaction was, "So what? It's only kissing and dancing." But I didn't say that out loud. I just hugged her and tried to calm her down. An hour or so later, once I got the right words in my head, I said, "I know you feel really guilty, but please don't. I'm not going to leave you and break up our family over some kissing and dancing, and I don't love you any less than I did yesterday. And this isn't something that's going to grow and cause resentment on my heart." More or less right on cue, my phone goes off, and it's that friend of hers with a picture and a video of what my wife was doing. This set my wife off again, but my feelings still haven't changed, and even now, a month later, that remains the case. In the months since then, my wife has accused me of not loving her because I didn't care. She's accused me of kissing other people and more, which is why I didn't care as I was covering up my own indiscretions. And she's accused me of being gay multiple times, which doesn't make sense. She keeps asking me why I haven't initiated anything with her, even though in the past she's told me she hates being touched and not to ever try it on with her, which I have respected. She's basically projecting, and it's annoying me as it's putting a strain on us, which is 100% her fault. How do I get through to her that she needs to stop feeling guilty and just move on because it's not a big deal to me? I was genuinely more annoyed when she broke my baking bowl and tried to blame it on the cat. LOL. TLDR, the wife kissed another man. I don't care, and now she's causing problems because she's guilty and projecting. How do I stop this? Edit. Hi all, I just wanted to say thank you all so much for taking the time to respond to me. I really do appreciate it, and I'm overwhelmed that you all took the time. I keep getting asked a few questions, so I thought I'd address them here. Over the years, we have been to a few different couples counselors and intimacy therapists, the latest being last September for both. My wife always feels like she's being victimized by them, and we stopped going. Nearly all have said they think she is asexual, and 2 have even said she is displaying a lot of signs of being a closeted lesbian, which I have brought up to her before, and she is adamant she's not. On that note, I've had a lot of messages saying she wants to feel wanted and for me to be more forward with her. This is not true. In all our sessions, she said she doesn't want me trying it on with her. She doesn't even want me to initiate hugs, and just bringing up intimacy makes her feel under pressure. She let me and our therapist know that if she ever had intimacy without her initiating it, it would be nothing more than pity intimacy. As for people saying I don't love her, I buy her flowers every Friday on the way home from work. I bake her favorite cookies or cupcakes every weekend. I send her voice notes of songs I'm listening to that remind me of her. I tell her I love her every day. And I run her a bath every night. This is not me showing off. This is how I was brought up to show love. For those who say I must have been brought up in an unloving home, people have said that I don't get jealous and I don't love her. If she told me she was having an emotional affair, she spent hours on the phone with someone else laughing and joking, she snuggled on a sofa eating chocolates and watching TV with someone, etc., I'd be devastated. A dance and a kiss aren't a big deal to me and are not even close to divorce. Thank you all again for reading. Second edit. Sorry for these. It's 7 a.m. here now, the day after I posted this first due date. I've been talking to my wife since 6, and I told her that she's got a week to agree to go back to couples counseling, and she's got to stick it out this time and not just accuse them of taking sides and refuse to go back. She said no. She said they all bully her and make her out to be the bad guy. She said I went back on my word that I forgive her and won't resent her. I said this isn't about the kiss. It's about her reaction since the kiss and that it feels like she's purposely trying to drive me away and make me leave her. She just got up and stormed out of the room. She then got dressed and said, she's going out until I go to work. Let's see what the community has to say to OP about it. The first comment is, she's trying to sabotage the relationship, and she's getting mad that you won't let her. The OP responds, that's the conclusion I'm heartbreakingly coming to. This hurts infinitely more than seeing her kiss someone else. Another user says, did I read that correctly? She doesn't like being touched, but let a man kiss her multiple times, and she reciprocated. They were also dancing, so I doubt there was any daylight between them. I imagine his hands were all over her, and she didn't mind. It sounds like she doesn't like to be touched by you, but is perfectly fine with being touched by someone else. Give her what she wants. Go talk to a lawyer, get your ducks in a row, and then tell her you've done what she was looking for, a reaction. Then, if you want to fix things, tell her you want to go to marriage counseling to see what her reaction is. Even without the lawyer thing, if you want this marriage to continue, you both need to go and see someone, as it doesn't sound like she is going to move past this anytime soon, and who knows why she is doing what she is doing. Boss from hell gets what she deserves. I, 30 female, have been a people pleaser to a fault my whole life. I have been working in marketing for 10 plus years. Over the years, I've had my fair share of bosses who were good, average, and some who sucked. There is one in particular that stood out as awful. This story is from about 5 years ago. Pamela, not her real name, was the VP of marketing and sales for a mid-size retailer. She started at the company a few years after I did. And if rumors were true, she was the 4th pick for the position and was simply hired so the company could appease shareholders. I was a manager under her, and my whole job was to make sure the website and stores had their products merchandised properly, received all their monthly sales materials, managed advertising, set up and managed the department's budget, PM'd all department projects and operations, created reporting to reflect sales, managed presentations and creative briefs for future projects, etc. In short, I did her work and all the administrative grunt work to keep the department afloat. I managed all this because I had access to her email and often sent emails on her behalf to keep the department functioning. Pamela spent most of her time showing up after 10 a.m., taking business lunches, and planning company parties. I don't even know why we did those, but I planned those too. I consistently questioned why she spent so much of our budget on these events when we didn't have the budget resources for any of them. Pamela told me to take from future months' budgets to pay for the current month's overspending. So, at the start of every month, I had an original budget, and by the end of the month, I had to turn in an edited budget, edited under Pamela's direction, that made it look like Pamela's spending was under control. This is important for later. I definitely made mistakes here and there, being in charge of so many tasks, and constantly found myself working 12-hour days split between being in the office and working after my kid went to bed. Weekend work was also done before my family woke up and after they went to bed. During Pamela's first major holiday season, sales were sh*t. Pamela kept changing her mind on the visuals for the stores, kept bringing on new advertising and PR agencies to bring in sales. All these agencies consisted of her personal friends and ignored our buying and merchandise team's planned promotions for her own better ones. At this time, I had been dealing with an ongoing infection that turned to sepsis and was hospitalized. The doctors and my husband said it was due to the stress of work and that I needed to take a break. As I recovered, I realized how much I was hurting myself, my family, and even the company I worked for. Eventually, my old habits got to me, and I got on my phone and checked mine and my boss's emails. What I found made my blood boil. First, I got a lovely bouquet of flowers from upper management wishing me well, and I knew that Pamela organized the delivery. She sent me her favorite flowers. I went to her inbox to put the receipt in the correct folder to send to accounting when I got back. At the top of her inbox from the past 3 days were emails clearly not related to business. What I found in her emails was Pamela emailing her personal friends, griping on how I can't just shake off sepsis and get back to work. She also complained that she couldn't find any of my notes, spreadsheets, or documents for any of the work she was technically in charge of. They were on our shared drive and labeled very clearly. Finally, I found an email where she sent a friend from a previous company asking for advice on how to bring in sales and save her job. In this long thread, this old colleague asked if there was anyone managing most of the work, and of course, Pamela said I was. This colleague explained that clearly it was my mismanagement that was causing issues and that I could be blamed if sales didn't pull through by the end of the season. Pamela mentioned that I was in the hospital and repeated comments from her other email thread. This person said that she couldn't outright fire me because it could seem like retaliation because I needed to take emergency medical leave. But if Pamela could prove I was stealing from the company or misusing company resources, then she would have grounds to have me fired and use me as a scapegoat. Upon my return, Pamela called me into her office and said she was worried I was taking on too much and wanted to take work off my plate. She announced she was taking managing the department budget off my plate. She asked me to only drop off a small stack of invoices to accounting. Additionally, Pamela told me under no circumstances was I allowed to talk to accounting about anything regarding budgets. Also, if I had any concerns about the department or workload, I wasn't allowed to go to HR. I had to discuss them directly with Pamela. Oh yeah, I could see where this was going. Unfortunately for Pamela, I had built a rapport with Lois, 50s, not real name, who was our main accountant. Lois always said that she would do everything in her power to help me, should I ask. Knowing this, I grabbed the stack of invoices off Pamela's desk to give to accounting. I also added the email threads I read while I was in the hospital and the current unedited budget that Pamela hadn't touched yet for the month. I also found in my filing cabinet hard copies of old budgets with Pamela's handwriting on what numbers to change to balance our budget. Finally, I added an email from our first round of budget adjustments where Pamela subtlety threatened to put someone else in my job if I couldn't do what she asked. So, I walked and dropped off the invoices to accounting when I bumped into Lois. She brought up invoices, and I sternly looked at her and said Pamela is the only one in our department that Lois is allowed to talk to about our budget and invoices. Lois saw the suspiciously thick file folder on her desk, gave a firm nod, and lovingly kicked me out of her office. Within the week, Pamela was fired. From what I understand, she has been continually job hopping for the past few years. The CEO and HR brought me in to personally apologize for everything I went through and gave me a paid 1-week vacation to take at my discretion. Given other issues with this business, I left after another year. Which brings me to today. I am, once again, a manager for sales and marketing. I have a wonderful boss, Mike, 40s, who trusts my business decisions and backs me up on practically everything. We are hiring my team for me to solely manage and direct. Today, I looked through the applicants and found Pamela's resume sitting among dozens of others. I stared at her name, wondering how many other people share her name. Upon review, yep, it's her. She definitely fell down the corporate ladder, with VP of our old company being the highest title she earned. And, to no surprise, she embellished her achievements, claiming the work I managed as her own, and claimed she generated 87% sales growth during the holiday season at our previous company. As a people-pleaser who firmly believes in giving everyone a chance, it has never been so satisfying to click disqualified. Edit. To those suggesting I interview her to see her reaction, I would have loved to see her face as she walked in. But I felt it would have risked my boss's trust in my decision-making ability. Maybe I'll send a personally written rejection email. Am I the jerk for putting my wife on a strict allowance and making her ask me permission to buy expensive things? When we married, we decided not to fully combine our finances. We have a shared account in which I fund 3/4 and she funds 1/4. We use this account to pay the mortgage, utilities, groceries, etc. We also have separate accounts where we deposit the rest of our money. We're responsible for our own investments in cars. Things worked well for a couple of years until recently, when she came to me crying. It turns out my wife is not good with her money and owes $150,000 spread over several credit cards and her car loan. Unless she wins the lottery, there's no way she would be able to pay off her debt, and I didn't want her to mess up her credit by declaring bankruptcy. I decided to loan her the money to pay off the debt under strict conditions. I will take over her finances, including receiving her income. She will be placed on a strict allowance and budget. She will have to ask permission to buy anything over $50 and have to go by my judgment. Once she pays me back the money, she can take control of her own finances. She argued against the conditions until I pointed out I don't have $150,000 in cash stuff on the couch. I will have to sell some assets, including stocks, that are currently performing well. If I loan her the money, it will cost me money. She finally agreed. This weekend we were at a dinner party where, after too many drinks, some of the women decided they wanted to take a girls' trip a few weekends from now. My wife turned to ask me if she could go, and I answered no, it's not in her budget. I'll spare you the details of the argument that erupted, but the short version is that I'm a misogynist pig who keeps her on a leash. Some people argue that I should have bailed her out without conditions because there should be none in a marriage. The hurtful part is that she didn't once defend me. So, was I wrong to put those conditions on her? Hello all. I read some of your comments at lunch and will continue to read them. When I got home from work, she started another round of arguments about the trip. I pointed out that she has no money, at which point she pointed out that she hasn't hit the limit on one of her credit cards, and that card should cover her for the weekend. So I drove back to my office and will spend the night here. To answer some of your questions, our shared account pays for everything in the house. For example, a few weeks ago, we bought a new cookware set from Costco, and that money came from the shared account. She has a full-time job. Minus her contribution to the shared account, the rest of her income is hers to spend as she wishes. I cover things we do together, like dinners, dates, and vacations. The principal amount she owes is about $120,000, of which about half is her car loan. The rest consists of interest and late fees. I didn't bring up her debt in front of our friends because I wanted to protect her reputation. I haven't liquidated anything yet. I'm working with my advisor and broker to decide what to liquidate to take the least financial and tax hit. She doesn't gamble. I looked over her bills, and it looked like she spent her money on dinners and drinks and shopping with her friends. We've been married for less than 5 years and do not have children. We talked about starting a family in a couple of years. Now some comments. Not the jerk. Your wife is seriously irresponsible, and it seems that when you bailed her out, she didn't learn a lesson. She and her friends put you on the spot like that, hoping the pressure would force you to say yes. A normal person would have realized the mess they had made and realized they couldn't spend frivolously with a $150,000 debt hanging over their heads, but this just shows your wife's attitude. Good luck getting your money back. Another user says, my concern is that since the $150,000 has been taken care of, she is going to go into debt once again but hide it better. What prevents her from doing this again? Her lack of remorse is troublesome. And someone said, not the jerk. I think you are handling this absolutely correctly, taking her paycheck and all. I don't give a damn if her credit card debt is only in her name. She is risking both of your futures and retirement by being so irresponsible. She needs to receive some counseling for a possible shopping addiction. You are a good man for not jumping straight to the thought of divorce and seeing this as a team problem. You haven't even mentioned if y'all have kids and how she is risking their futures too. Am I the jerk for not returning money my ex-husband sent to me mistakenly? A few days ago, my ex-husband mistakenly transferred 2 payments of $8,700 and $9,275. He did this at around 7:40 in the morning, and I didn't notice because I worked the night shift and was getting ready for bed. So my phone was charging on the nightstand. At the same time, my 4 children were with my parents, so I planned to sleep away half the day. I guess he realized his mistake around 8:30 a.m., and by then I was dead asleep. I woke up at around 4 p.m. to at least 100 missed calls and maybe 150 texts asking and begging me to send him back the money. My initial thoughts were to send it back, but then I remembered that he owed me $12,000 and hasn't paid me back since I lent it to him 4 years ago, and he's had a million excuses why he can't pay me back, yet I always see him living it up. I kept the amount he owed me and returned only $5,975, and I told him I had deducted his debt. Since then, I've had him call me every name in the book because this was apparently money he was saving to buy his girlfriend an engagement ring, pay the engagement venue, etc., so according to him, he had to tell her. This then led to it ruining the surprise engagement he planned for the next weekend. His girlfriend has been bad-mouthing me, and it has caused a bit of a shitstorm with me having to shut down my social media, and even his parents, with whom I had a cordial relationship, have been impacted by it. I discussed the situation with a friend and colleague, and it was overheard by another colleague, and he called what I did a coward move, and I guess he shared it with a couple of other people, and now I'm not sure anymore if I am being a jerk or not. Is this a jerk move? Edit. The money was loaned to him after our divorce. We've been divorced for 7 years, and I loaned him the money 4 years ago after he had lost his job and fell behind on bills and his rent. This has nothing to do with his child support payments, of which he is also behind, and that's being handled by family court. There is text of him asking for a loan, and it includes a repayment plan and time, but he never sticks to it. So there's a legal trail if he ever decides to involve the law, but I seriously doubt he would because it would cost way more to sue me, and I think I would have won in court since I only deducted his debt to me. And yes, he is the father of our 4 kids. Edit 2. Yes, I could have sued him for the debt, but it would have cost me way more to hire a lawyer. Suing someone isn't cheap. Lawyers cost real money, and a lawsuit takes real time. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and see you on the next video.